Hi, I'm Jane, and I'm from New York City. And this is my story of how being short, like really short, leads me to have a unique, crazy life. So, I had a really crazy mother who was mad about shopping. Shoes, clothes, makeup, perfumes. She stopped at nothing. One day, when I was 2 years old, she left me at the mall because her hands were full of bags.
Where's Jane?
What?
You took Jane with you while shopping, right? Where is she?
Oh, my hands were full of bags. I might have just left her at the mall. Plus, she's too tiny and short for her age, so it's easy to forget her. Short and ugly. I wonder who she looks like. My dad was furious.
I already knew your shopping was a problem, but this is the last straw!
So he took me and left Mom for good. For a while, Dad and I lived happily in a small apartment. But when I was 8, Dad discovered that he didn't have much time to live, so he decided to leave me with his first wife. He took me to her huge mansion, hugged me really tightly, and left, and I never saw Dad again. Dad's first wife didn't have any children of her own. She was always dressed in black and never smiled. She looked just like a creepy widow, so I started calling her the widow. But there was no denying that the widow was rich. Practically everything in her house was made of gold, even the spoons. On the first day of my new school, the widow sent me off to school in a limo. And at school, the widow had the butler distribute free ice cream for a month, so everyone would be nice to me. At first, it was crazy fun, but on my 10th birthday, even though I was surrounded by friends, I broke down into tears. I missed my parents so much. And then I noticed that no one brought any gifts for me. When I asked them why, some boy yelled, "Because we don't like you, you dwarf, and your breath smells bad." Suddenly, the widow showed up from behind him and put her hand on his mouth and dragged him away. What was going on? So, everyone in school liked me only because of the widow's money? One day, when my so-called best friend announced,
"Hey girls, let's go get some ice cream. Jane's buying."
I lost my cool.
"No, I'm not. You want it? Go get it yourself. I'm not your debit card." "Look at this dwarf being so mean. It's not even your money, Jane. You're a charity case."
They all angrily marched away, and after that, I was a loner. Not only that, it was really annoying that I never got picked during gym class, and I really wanted to play basketball. So one day, in 6th grade, I ran straight onto the court, snatched the ball from another kid, and started dribbling it away. I was small, but fast. Just then, the substitute gym teacher came running onto the court, blowing his whistle furiously. And next thing I knew, he had picked me up and was carrying me away.
"We have a kindergartner on the loose! Don't you know you could seriously get hurt, kid?"
He just wouldn't listen and took me to the principal. He sure looked dumb when the principal told him I was in the 6th grade. But I was still banned from playing. It was too dangerous for me. One day, when I was in 9th grade, right before my exam was about to start, my teacher came up to me and put her hand on my forehead. "Jane, dear, your mom said you aren't feeling well today. You can go home and rest." "But I'm not sick." "Yes, you are, sweetie. You have a horrible fever." And the teacher just dragged me out of the room. After the exams, when I looked at my report card, I was shocked. I got an A+ on an exam I didn't even write, and all the rest as well. The widow then threw a fancy party where she literally distributed money. Worst of all, the party was full of my teachers. Ugh, talk about boring. The only person at the party my age was Andrew from school, the son of one of the teachers. I always had a crush on him, and now he was making his way to me. My heart began to beat like crazy. I do, Andrew, I do.
How does it feel to take something you don't deserve, just because you have money?
Huh? What do you mean?
Oh, come on. Everyone in class already guessed your mother bought those fake grades for you.
Aren't you ashamed? How could you have possibly topped when everyone knows I'm the smartest? I never asked her to do it. She's not even my mom. It's not my fault.
Yeah, your grades are better than your height. Dwarfs can't be the smartest.
I stood there, shocked, and I decided it was time for me to tell the widow to change. But she said that she didn't mean any harm. She just wanted to help me get into some college, as it was my dad's last wish. I begged her to let me do it on my own. Eventually, she agreed. Sadly, that didn't pan out as I'd planned. I wasn't doing well in school at all. And without the widow's money, the teachers weren't so nice anymore.
Why is your handwriting so big when you're so short?
Are you so bad at math because it's hard to understand things with your teeny tiny brain? I flunked horribly and was held back a grade. My ex-best friend smirked and said, "Keep flunking and you'll finally reach a grade that suits your height. Can you just leave me alone?"
"Oh, I heard wearing a pink hat while studying helps your brain work because the brain likes the color pink." I tried it, but it didn't work. Guess I'm already a genius.
Or that you don't have a brain. As I left for home that day, with angry tears in my eyes, I ran straight into someone. Andrew. Hey, what's wrong? Why are you crying?
Listen, just back off. I have enough troubles without you.
But Andrew did not back off. The next few days, he really started chasing me all over school. There was just no escaping him. Wherever I went, there he was.
What's wrong with you? I'm trying to study. Stop stalking me.
I'm just worried about you. Let me help you with your grades.
Why?
I appreciate it, but you really don't have to feel sorry for me. I don't feel sorry. I understand you want to rely on yourself, and I respect that. I'm just offering to help, and also trying to make up for being a jerk. Well, I knew he was a math whiz. If anyone could help me, it was him. From that day onwards, every night, he snuck in from my window to help me study. But he was so distractingly cute and funny. We were becoming super close. The night before the exam, the door flew open and the widow barged in. She started yelling at me. Boys ruin everything. This is probably why you don't get good grades. You're so distracted all the time. Then she dragged him to the window and told him to leave the way he came.
He isn't my boyfriend. He's my private teacher. He's helping me with math.
But she wasn't listening. So Andrew climbed down the tree outside the window and left. The next day, I passed the exam and was over the moon. I ran to him and threw my arms around him.
I did it! I passed the math exam on my own!
Then, before I knew what I was doing, I kissed him.
And what an utterly stupid thing to do that was!
Because the minute our lips touched, he froze. I was so embarrassed. I let him go and stepped back. I'm so sorry.
Jane, I had no idea that you felt this way about me. I'm sorry if I gave you the wrong idea, but I was just looking out for you.
You know, like a little sister. You're just not my type.
Wait, what?
I never felt so humiliated in my entire life. Without another word, I just turned around and fled. And that was my real first heartbreak.
I refused to go down for dinner that evening and shut myself up in my room. A little later, the widow knocked and came in.
Do you want to tell me what's wrong, Jane?
I burst into tears and told her everything.
You were right. Boys ruin everything. From now on, I'm just going to focus on me. I'm going to get a university scholarship and leave this stupid place.
And for the first time ever, the widow hugged me. It was really awkward, but also kind of nice.
I'll send you to any university you want. You just focus on studying really hard.
And that's what I did. I really focused on my lessons. And at home, the widow started to help me out too. She also had her chef make me really healthy food and gave me multivitamins regularly. She helped me out with all my college applications, and for the first time since Dad, I felt like I did have a parent. As I was about to graduate high school, our student counselor called me one day to her office to give me some really amazing news.
You got into your dream university, Jane! Congratulations! I squealed in excitement and hugged her.
In my excitement, I knocked over my bag, and my bottle of vitamins fell out. Just then, the counselor picked up one of the pills, looking confused.
Jane, why are you eating these?
Oh, they're just multivitamins.
No, they're not, Jane. These pills are given to kids with ADHD to improve focus. No one should be taking these unless a doctor prescribes them.
I couldn't believe it. Why would the widow do this? I rushed home and barged straight into her room, throwing the pills on her bed. Why have you been lying to me that these are vitamins? Why are you feeding me pills I don't need? Are you trying to poison me?
The widow looked stunned. Then she said,
Jane, just let me explain.
I was only trying to help you get better. Oh, so you thought I am so dumb that I needed pills to make me smarter?
I only want what's best for you, Jane. That's all I ever wanted. And then I said the words I would regret for the rest of my life.
Well, in case you forgot, let me remind you, you're not my mom. You're just a pathetic old widow, and you don't deserve to have kids.
And with that, I stormed off to my room. I didn't speak a word to her for the next few weeks, and then I left for university. I felt bad for the things I'd said, but I was too angry to take them back. I was doing really well at university. I met a wonderful guy, Dave. He was the only person I'd ever met who didn't treat me like I was dumb, and he never made me feel little in any way. One day, while we were on a date, I got a terrible phone call. It was a doctor from some hospital saying the widow had been found unconscious in her home and was really unwell. Dave drove me straight to the hospital, and when I went to her, it broke my heart seeing her so pale and weak. I sat down by her and started to cry.
Please be okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean those awful things I said. I love you. You're my mom.
Just then,
Her eyes fluttered open. She gave me a weak smile. Jane, I'm so glad you're here, dear. I'm sorry, too. You were always so tiny. I became really overprotective. I see now that you didn't need that at all. I moved back with Mom to take care of her, and soon she fully recovered. I graduated with honors from university, and I was so happy she could be there. After university, Dave and I got married and had 2 beautiful kids together. We named our son after my dad, and our little girl after the widow, her godmother.
Hi, my name is 𝗕𝗑𝗟𝗖𝗢𝗠, and I live in Canada. You know how most people usually have a cute little story behind their names? Well, I do too. You see, my parents were really wealthy and had everything in the world except a child. And finally, after lots of prayers and 10 years of marriage, Mom got pregnant. So when I came into this world, Dad chose the name 𝗕𝗑𝗟, which means a gift from God in Arabic. They felt truly blessed. Well, that's what I thought the story behind my name was. It actually turns out to be something really shocking. But before I continue, click like and subscribe. I was an only child, and since both of my parents were too, I had no aunties, uncles, or cousins. But I didn't really feel lonely growing up. My parents were my best friends, and they pampered me to bits. Sometimes a little too much. Once when I was 4 years old, they took me shopping to a toy store. But when we found out that the Barbie I'd wanted was out of stock, Dad kicked up such a fuss.
I need it for my daughter. I don't care where you get it from, just get it.
It's okay, Daddy. I can get something else. Look, this one's pretty too.
Dad did get me that Barbie, and then he hopped on to the next flight to Europe and got me the other one too. When I was 5, my parents had a grand birthday party for me, and they invited all their friends and their kids. I was so excited to meet them, but that soon turned to horror. They were so loud and mean. One of them pulled my hair and called me a giant, and the rest burst out laughing. After that, I begged my parents and told them I didn't want to go to school with the other kids. Of course, they gave in easily and hired the best tutors for me. I was really happy to be homeschooled, and books became my best friends. I learned to read stories in English, French, and Arabic. I have the smartest and the most beautiful daughter in the world. God truly gave me the most wonderful present. Dad started to be away for business more often, and we missed him, but he always brought me the loveliest books from around the world. Life seemed perfect until one December when I was 10. It was a few days before Christmas, and I went looking for my present in Dad's study. Sure enough, I found a velvet box and a card with my name on it. My darling 𝗕𝗑𝗟𝗖𝗢𝗑, I miss you so much. I can't wait to be with you again. When I opened the box, I gasped. The diamond necklace inside sparkled like stars. But to be honest, I was disappointed. What was I supposed to do with a necklace? Feeling confused, I ran with the box and card to my parents' bedroom and shook Dad awake.
Daddy, I found my present, and I don't want it. Also, why do you miss me? I'm right here.
Dad's eyes flew open. Mom asked me to leave the room, and then a few seconds later, I heard them fighting.
You named our daughter after your girlfriend? Get out! Get out!
A few moments later, Dad came rushing out with a bag in his hand, and when he saw me, he hugged me.
I'll come back for you soon, darling.
Before I could say more, he was gone. He never came back for me. I felt heartbroken, and Mom cried for weeks.
Mom, you can change my name if you want. I know it makes you unhappy.
No, 𝗕𝗑𝗟𝗖𝗢𝗑, nothing about you could ever make me unhappy. You're my perfect, beautiful girl.
After that day, I decided I was ready to go to school. I could use some friends, but I had no idea what was waiting for me. On the first day of 6th grade, I walked into the classroom and noticed that everyone had suddenly stopped talking and was staring at me. Maybe it was because I was so pretty, like Mom always said. And then a boy yelled out, "Hey you, giraffe girl, how's the weather up there?" As everyone started to laugh, I turned red and quickly rushed to the first empty seat. It was only when the bell rang for recess and everyone stood up that I realized I was taller than everyone in my class, including the boys. I knew I was 5 feet 8 inches, but no one had ever told me that was strange for an 11-year-old. And even worse, I had a growth spurt, and by the time I was in the 8th grade, I was 6 feet 2 inches. Being so tall suddenly certainly wasn't easy for me. I hit my head on door frames and hanging lamps all the time. All the cute dresses I loved to wear were like t-shirts for me now, and I could never find nice clothes in my size. And of course, there was all the bullying. I was officially a freak. Even teachers said mean comments about my height. Once, the gym teacher said, listen, 𝗪𝗑, you're just too tall to be a cheerleader or anything. You're too tall to be a girl. I'm sure it makes you sad and you hate yourself for being this tall, so I'm just gonna do you a favor. Just don't come to my classes. I understand your misery. And that was one of the dumbest things I'd ever heard. All the girls started laughing and I left the gym with tears in my eyes. After being the target of all the tall girl jokes in the world, and mostly spending time alone in the library, I was glad to move to a new school in 9th grade. On my first day at high school, I was putting away stuff in my locker when I noticed a bunch of kids snickering behind me. One of the girls said, OMG, you're like freakishly tall. Did you know that? I slammed the locker door shut and turned around. OMG, I never noticed. Thank you for this brand new, life-changing information. And with that, I walked away. I had to make sure kids here knew I wasn't some pushover. Well, it didn't really work. The next day, I was walking to a table with my lunch tray when suddenly someone pushed me from behind and I went flying. I looked up angrily to see those awful kids doubled over with laughter. It's so funny to see a tall person fall. It's like someone chopped down a tree. As I blinked away angry tears, I heard someone say, knock it off, jerks. She's my friend, and you know you don't want to get on my wrong side. Immediately, the kids scrambled away. I saw a really pretty girl holding out her hand to me. I've seen you around. Of course, it's not hard to. You should stick with me and my gang, kid. We kinda rule this school. It turned out her name was Melissa, and she wasn't kidding. Mel and her friends were cheerleaders and the most popular girls in school. She was friends with all the jocks and practically the head of every club. And suddenly, I was one of them. I had to admit, it felt good to finally have people who had my back. I stuck out like a sore thumb in their group, and my head never fit into their selfies, but at least I had friends. Melissa threw a big party on her birthday, and as I hung out awkwardly in the corner, I heard someone say, wow, I love how tall you are. You look like a supermodel. I looked around to see the most gorgeous boy, and I turned 50 shades of red. He introduced himself as Darren, the captain of the basketball team. We'd be happy to have you play for us. I know everyone thinks I must love playing basketball, but I really don't. I'm into writing stories, actually. We started talking, and it was really easy and fun. Later, he asked me to dance, and as he pulled me close, I felt sparks flying between us. He was a few inches shorter than me, but he didn't seem bothered at all. And a few days later, he asked me out. We started dating, and it was the happiest I'd been in a while. When I showed him my journal with all my stories, he was really impressed at my talent. With his encouragement, I submitted a story in a nationwide story writing contest. A few weeks later, when the principal came on stage during the assembly to announce the winner, I waited breathlessly. The story to get first prize is Never Let Your Dad Name You. Oh my God, yes! By Melissa. Oh my God, what? I stood frozen in shock as Melissa skipped onto the stage and accepted the prize. My head was spinning. How was this even possible? No one had read my story or even known I was entering the competition, except one person. During recess, when I went off to the cafeteria to confront both Melissa and Darren, I saw them sitting together at the table, laughing away. Do you two want to explain what just happened? Darren, did you steal my story? Why? And why would you do this, Melissa? Suddenly, Melissa got up from the table, and she looked at me with pure rage in her eyes. I'll tell you. I asked Darren to switch your story with some other, and I did that because I hate you. So what if I stole your story? You stole my dad. Wait, what? Yeah, I found pictures of you and your mom in his laptop a long time ago, and when I saw you in school, I just knew it was you. He divorced Mom and left us. Well, you got to have him all to yourself. Melissa, what are you talking about? My dad has another family? And I haven't seen him in years. He left us for some girlfriend. I don't believe you, and I hate you, you ugly freak. Just as I was about to attack her, Darren stepped in to stop me. Pick on someone your own size, Godzilla. So you just lied about liking me? Well, duh. Why would I want to date you? It would look like I'm hanging out with my mommy. Tall girls just aren't girly enough for me anyway.
I gave him a good hard slap on the face. And you certainly aren't manly enough for me. In fact, you're the tiniest, smallest guy I've ever met. A real guy wouldn't feel threatened by a girl's height. Oh, also, I'm way smarter than you both. And with that, I pulled out my phone from my pocket. I had it on recording the whole time, just some proof that you stole my story. I stormed off to the principal's office and got both Melissa and Darren suspended. But I wasn't over the shock of what I'd found. Later that evening, Mom found me crying in my room, and I ended up telling her everything. She was completely stunned. I had no idea he had another wife or another child. That man has caused so much pain. Melissa is just angry at him, honey, and she's taken it all out on you. I kinda understood Melissa's heartbreak and anger, and I decided to forgive her. Once she came back after her suspension, I went up to her. Listen, we don't have to be enemies because of what Dad did. We're actually half-sisters. I never had a sibling. Can we have a fresh start? In your freaking dreams. I can't even stand the sight of you. After a few days, she left the school for good, and I never saw her again. I thought at least all my crazy problems would end after that, but no. After high school, I got into a great writing program at university. As soon as I graduated from university and accepted an editor's job in a publishing company, Mom started setting me up on dates to find a husband. We just need to find you a tall husband. I need to see my grandchildren before I die. Please, Heba, just marry the tall man I'll find for you. No, Mom, please, let me make this decision by myself. Let me choose him. I've had enough jerks in my life. But Mom didn't listen. One day we were at my mom's friend's place and I was trying to talk to her extremely boring son when suddenly his brother walked in. He smiled and introduced himself as Omar, and with him, I felt an instant connection. As we got up to leave, we both saw that I was at least half a foot taller than him.
Wow, you're taller than I guessed you'd be.
And the next day, he called me up and asked me out on a date. We went out for a few months, after which he proposed, and I was more than happy to say yes. On our wedding day, the photographer wanted Omar to stand on a little stool for all our photos, but he said he was perfectly fine with the way we were. Thank you very much. Fast forward 5 years, and I've published 2 best-selling novels. I also have 3 kids now, and I hope they grow up to love reading just as much as I do.